What's up guys, Ninth Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we're talking about Cinderace. This Pokemon is a very hyped up Pokemon. It now has access to its hidden ability, Libero, which is very powerful. It's very similar to the old Pokemon, not old Pokemon, but to the Pokemon GRENINJA, with the ability Protein to be able to change its typing to the move it's about to use, which is almost word for word the same ability for this Pokemon Libero. However, we have access to this Pokemon and this ability now, so it's really cool. GRENINJA made a pretty big impact back when it first came out with that ability Protein, mostly due to the fact that it has a very wide range of moves it can use. It gains stab on that, so it gains an additional 50% damage on whatever it uses. It also changes that typing so it can be played defensively as well, being able to change that and then resist a lot of hits. So yeah, the fire typing there with all of the resistances and stuff is kind of irrelevant most of the time. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's talk about this Pokemon. So fire typing, resistance is fire, grass, ice, bug, steel, fairy. Weakness is water, ground, and rock. I'm not going to dwell on this too much because we're going to be changing our ability left and right. Changing our typing left and right. It's very interesting that we can change that and make it so that you're hitting really powerful Stab Max Airstream, Stab Max Steel Spikes, Sucker Punch, U-Turn. So many good attacks that you can gain stab on, which is really cool. And like I said, you get to change your typing so you can make it so you just resist everything. So this frail Pokemon can become not so frail, and it's really cool. So let's talk about our stats. So HP 80, Defense 75, and Special Defense 75. All are pretty average. This Pokemon does not have crazy bulk, but it doesn't have really low bulk to the point where we need Focus Sash. So that's pretty cool. And also, like I was saying, you can change your typing and kind of make your opponent play really weirdly against this Pokemon, which is just really cool that we can do that. So Cinderace is pretty cool. It's got some really cool stuff that I can do. As far as our offensive stats go, our attack is 116, which is higher than the Greninja's special attack, by the way, that it used. So that's cool. It's more offensive. Barely. I mean, we're talking a few points here, but still, it's cool. And then we have speed 119, which is a little bit slower than Greninja, but only by a little. I mean, 119, I think Greninja was like 122. I looked it up earlier. I think it's 122. And yeah, I mean, that's not bad. You know, we're hitting a very solid speed tier where we're only getting outsped by a couple of Pokemon that aren't Choice Scarf and Chlorophyll and stuff like that. So it's really a good speed tier. A very good speed tier. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about the move set itself. So, as far as the ability goes, we're playing Libero. We're not going to be using Blaze ever again with this Pokemon. It's going to be Libero this, Libero that. That's what this guy does now. So, item, Life Orb. You have a couple of other options as well. Life Orb is just really good. It gives us consistent damage that puts us into range of taking a couple of big Okos like Dynamax, Tyranitar, and Incineroar. A couple of really good big numbers we hit with Life Orb. But you can use a couple of other things. If you don't want to take that little bit of damage, you can go with Expert Belt, giving us that 1.2 times damage instead of 1.3, but then we don't take damage, which is cool. You also have Focus Sash, which is a good option, but not needed anymore. It used to be Focus Sash really was the way to go with Cinderace. Now we're kind of just going for damage. Talking about damage, you could also go Choice Band, but then you're not really Dynamaxing, and half of its move pool is really dedicated to Dynamaxing. Bounce making Max Airstream, and Iron Head making Max Steel Spike to take huge knockouts on really good Metamons. So I like Dynamaxing, I like Life Orb, I think it's better. You can also go Assault Vest just to give it that extra defense, that extra special defense. It's always good, and it doesn't need Protect, but I think Max Guard and Protect are very valuable in this Pokemon, since this is something that you want to live for a little while, so you can really get a lot of good spread damage across the board against a lot of Pokemon. So I like Protect, I like Life Orb, I think it's a good way of running the Pokemon, but like I said, it's very versatile and you can change it around a lot. As far as our moves go, we're going with Pyro Ball, Bounce, Iron Head, and Protect. I already talked about Protect. It's very valuable in this Pokemon. But for our other moves, Pyro Ball is Stab initially. It's also just good. Fire damage is good. Also, Max Flare can give us a lot of good stuff, like making, you know, opposing water Pokemon do less damage, as well as making our own Venusaur do a lot of damage and being very fast. We have Cinderace doing more damage after Pyro Ball. It gains Stab and Sun. It's very powerful. Then we also have Bounce for Max Airstream mostly. It's also just good in general. It's not really what you're going to be wanting to use a lot, but it's still not bad. And then we also have Iron Head, which once again, something you're not going to be wanting to use a lot on its own, but Max Steel Spike becomes amazingly powerful. This is more of a Dynamaxing build, and once we have Gigantamax, I don't think the build is going to change very much, but you can definitely flex in certain moves depending on what kind of coverage you want. But like I said, Bounce and Iron Head aren't that great alone, but with Libero and Life Orb, you still stack a lot of damage upgrades on them, so you're still hitting stab with those moves without having to Dynamax, which is really cool. But Iron Head, only hits 95% of the time, so Dynamax Max Steel Spike is very strong. It also has great secondary effects, of course. So yeah, pretty solid moveset. There's a lot of moves that you might want to use instead of these moves, and it's, like I said, it's very customizable. So if you think you already have too much, like you already have Excadrill or Corviknight on your team, and you don't really want to go for Iron Head, you can go for something like High Jump Kick, U-Turn, Sucker Punch, Gunk Shot, Zen Headbutt. High Jump Kick is one that we touch on a lot in Damage Calcs as well, but High Jump Kick is very, very valuable on this Pokemon, but I just hate missing and then dying. It sucks. You take your own damage from High Jump Kick. I think you still take Life Orb damage. Do you still take Life Orb damage from High Jump Kick? That's something that I don't know offhand. I never really use High Jump Kick, but it's our only option. Actually, I think it gets Low Kick too, but it's less damage. And High Jump Kick really puts us into range to taking big knockouts on things like Incineroar and Tyranitar G-Max, or Dynamax. So it's cool stuff. Anyway, yeah, a lot of really good options, and Libero takes into account for all of those typings as well, making them all stab, making them all much more powerful. Libero essentially just allows all of those moves to be good, which is cool. Next, we'll talk about our stats. So as far as our attack goes, 252 EVs. Make him powerful, make him hit really hard. We also have 252 into speed, which is of course very good as well, running Jolly Nature, so we hit that amazing speed tier of 188, and we'll talk about speed tiers a little bit more here just in a few moments. But max speed, max attack makes for a very strong, fast Cinderace that honestly is still not too frail because it changes its typing, and it's very hard to predict what Cinderace is going to do. That's kind of like its whole thing, is that you get to goof on people. It's cool. Anyway, let's talk about some synergetic Pokemon. So first off, we have Venusaur. Like I said, you can set Max Flare, can set Sun, so making that Pokemon very fast, making Venusaur very fast. And we see something very common a couple of times here. We see like Dragapult with Venusaur as a really powerful lead, hitting a Max Airstream, making your Sleep Powder machine, i.e. Venusaur, very, very fast. We have access to Max Flare as well as Max Airstream, and Cinderace is very, very fast, only really being outsped by Inteleon and Dragapult most of the time. And Dragapult, it's everywhere, but you're not going to play against it every single time. It is not always going to be a lead, so you don't always have to worry about it. Cinderace plus Venusaur could be a really, really powerful lead as we move on throughout the meta, so that's cool. And then we also have Gastron here. You don't have to. I mean, like, Gastron used to be a really great partner for it because people would go for a water type attack and then you get to just Storm Drain. But now with Libero, we get to switch it up a little bit. But if you do play against, like Colossal Dragapult lead, that can be a pretty powerful lead because they'll have to go for a Max Overgrowth, or they'll have to go for like a Max Gigalith. No, that's not the right word. Volcalith into your Cinderace, and you give them options, and they don't like options. They just like to hit click surf and then kill your guy. So it gives you a little bit better of a matchup against that very common lead. Anyway, that's going to be it for this moveset and build. Let's go ahead and talk about some speed tiers. So as far as our speed tiers go, we are at 188 speed tier as Cinderace, which is very, very good. Almost nothing else is outspeeding us, which is really good. Inteleon is outspeeding us and Dragapult outspeed us, but that's about it. We outspeed so many great Pokemon, things like Whimsicott, Durant, Charizard, Mimikyu, Excadrill, Form Change Rotom, Gyarados, Duraludon, Arcanine, Indeedee Female, Indeedee Male, obviously Indeedee Female. That's way slow, but a lot of really good Pokemon that we outspeed, which is really good because we can hit really big stab moves against those Pokemon and also just become a typing that they don't really want to see, which is really, really good. This Pokemon offers a lot of OHKOs and big damage against a lot of Pokemon under speeding us, as well as even Pokemon that outspeed us with like Sucker Punch into a Dragapult, which is really cool. So yeah, really good stuff here. The only things outspeeding us are Inteleon and Dragapult, and then also Choice Scarf Pokemon, Chlorophyll Pokemon, Swift Swim, Unburden. All of those kind of Pokemon are going to be outspeeding us, but that's a no-brainer because they even outspeed things like Dragapult. So yeah, very good stuff. Hit a very solid speed tier. Let's go ahead and talk about some damage calcs. So as far as our damage calcs go, a lot of them are going to be Dynamaxed, and a lot of them are going to be offensive calcs, because, you know, it's pretty unpredictable what is going to happen against us, since we're changing our typing almost every turn. So most are going to be offensive. So first off, we have Libero, taking into account all of these, making them all stab. So keep that in mind. We have Life Orb plus Libero, making our moves much more powerful. So first off, we have Max Airstream from attack, Max Invested Libero Life Orb, Max Airstream into Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is a very commonly bulky Pokemon, but we are hitting 101 to 119%, giving us a guaranteed OHKO against Conkeldurr with Max Airstream. This is really good. You guarantee just knock it out and then also raise your own speed. Amazing. That's an amazing damage calc. There's not a lot of things that just OHKO Conkeldurr right off the bat, which is really cool. Next, we have our Libero and Cinderace, but it's intimidated because we're up against an Incineroar. But even with Intimidate, High Jump Kick will still take a 75% chance to OHKO a pretty defensive Incineroar, hitting 97 to 114%, which is amazing. Hitting 75% chance to OHKO this Incineroar is a really, really solid damage calc, even after one Intimidation. So even -1 has a very high percent chance to OHKO, which is really good. Next, we have our Libero, Cinderace, High Jump Kick. This is another one where we play High Jump Kick. Actually, fun fact, Dynamaxed Max Knuckle from High Jump Kick actually does less damage than High Jump Kick. It sucks, but it is what it is. So if you see against one of those Pokemon and you want to roll the dice for a High Jump Kick, I would recommend it sometimes, because it provides an almost OHKO on Incineroar, and it provides an OHKO, guaranteed OHKO, against a Dynamaxed Tyranitar. Dynamaxed Tyranitar, everyone. That thing's huge. That thing has 400 health, but we knock it out. Guaranteed. Awesome stuff. Next, we have Dynamaxed Max Steel Spike into a very, very defensive Togekiss, 236 HP, 196 plus defense. This is the most used spread being supportive role, and very, very defensive. We are hitting a guaranteed OHKO against that with Max Steel Spike. Now, obviously, if it has Babbery Berry, then it's going to be a two-hit KO, but still, really good numbers. Next, we have Cinderace Max Steel Spike into a defensive Sylveon, and by defensive, I just mean max HP. This should actually be 252, but it doesn't really make a difference. We're hitting 144 to 171%, just knocking out that Sylveon, which is very good. Next, we have our Dynamaxed Dragapult Max Wormwind into a Cinderace. This is our only defensive calc. However, it's not bad. We're Dynamaxed, they're Dynamaxed, they have Life Orb, Max Wormwind, gonna hit our Cinderace, hitting 55 to 65%, a guaranteed 2-hit KO. It is faster than us, we're gonna hit it once, but we live it, which is cool. Just a neat little damage calc to have, since it's one of the only really relevant things that are going to be outspeeding us. I do anticipate, you know, Inteleon to trend up a little, but not too much. Dragapult, I think, is going to trend around the same at one of the top 5 Pokemon. Anyway, so that's it for our damage calcs. Very good across the board. A lot are High Jump Kick. I didn't really include any Pyro Ball because everybody knows, like, you know, Pyro Ball is big damage, you know. But yeah, a lot of these are really interesting and really good. So let's talk about some single spotlight here real quick before I go. And this Pokemon matches its strength in VGC in singles, if not better in singles, actually. So we are going with the ability Libero. Now this set might change a little bit since Libero can make it a little more offensive. It is a little bit supportive, having Taunt to be able to turn things off, and then Court Change to be able to change our entry hazards and stuff. The coolest thing about this Pokemon in singles is the fact that you can use Heavy Duty Boots and then be immune to spikes and Stealth Rocks and stuff like that. And then you get to use Court Change, which is a really cool attack that is exclusive to Cinderace that trades over all hazards that are active on yourself onto your opponent. So your opponent really has to second guess themselves using hazards against a team with Cinderace, because they'll be like, oh, well, if I let him use Cinderace's Court Change attack, then I have to deal with all the hazards that I set on my opponent. I have to deal with them on myself. So Cinderace makes that very, very hard to play against with Heavy Duty Boots. and Court Change. Not to mention the fact that it has Libero, so we have Pyro Ball and U-Turn for very, very powerful attacks. We can bring this Pokemon in with Heavy Duty Boots on any kind of hazard, Court Change, and then U-Turn the next turn while they're repositioning. This Pokemon's very fast, so that's a very good way of using it. We can also set up with Taunt against setup Pokemon to make them kind of just useless. Take advantage of that for a couple of turns and then hit Pyro Ball and U-Turn to reposition. Honestly, it's just a really, really powerful Pokemon in singles, and it's good. Alright, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. Cinderace is really good in VGC with its new ability, also good in singles as well, and I expect to see this Pokemon trend up a lot. I'm expecting to see this a lot more in VGC. Regardless of how truly powerful Libero is, I think a lot of people are just wanting to use it, wanting to use the starters. Rillaboom's next, then Inteleon, then back to regular scheduled until the DLC, but then we have, you know, Politoed, that's the biggest one. A lot of Pokemon. We have a lot of Pokemon, a lot of new guides, a lot of new content, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and notifications on, baby, because you're going to want to see this content coming out in the next few weeks. Alright, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, have a great evening, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, have a great month. Goodbye.